Hello, YouTube. Good night. I'm not even going to say good evening, good night, because it is so late. However, this is the time that I have. So, this is the time that I get it done. Give me a second here. Okay. So, tonight I got to give my message. Because I made a commitment and I don't want to skip my commitment. I want to make sure that I show up as I said I would. So I have this deck that I wanted to get, and I don't even know why I wanted to get the deck, because it's not even like one of those like real tarot decks or anything. But I've decided to pull from it and see what the theme is for different readings, and I started not too long ago and I kind of like it and it fit. So let's just see where this takes us. So this card says devotion and dreams fulfilled. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, and that's a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. So I thought, oh, well, maybe it's significant in some way. So I want to talk about, first of all, I want to give some hearty advice. I feel like I'm always behind on things that I want to talk about, because there are things that I want to say and then I get sidetracked because more things come up, and then now I'm thinking like, God, I'm backed up. I'm going to have to record things, and like, I don't know. But anyway, I want to give advice. I want to give suggestions. I want to give considerations to people of particular things. And I want to bring to your attention the commitment that goes behind gang stalking you. So, and I don't want this to be, and it's good that the advice comes from me in this way, because this is not reading tarot, because a lot of the times tarot needs to be like interpreted. Sometimes it's not very specific. So sometimes you really need to be able to like interpret what the tarot cards are saying. This is very direct, okay? These people, when you become a target, these people move into your area, like they look for places to live in your area. They look for jobs in your area, and they look for jobs at places that you've gone to. So places that they followed you to. So if you've gone to that gas station, they make their people work there. If you go to this bakery, they make their people work there. If you go to this place, they make their people work there. So, I mean, it just makes sense. It cuts down on how many people need to follow you. Now, I don't know in my situation how they're working. I think typically they're in Telegram groups, and so they can share your picture and all the information is like centralized. And so they already know you when you walk in. In my situation, it looks like what they do is they have to alert different people like, oh, this person's here. And so it starts as like a regular interaction, and then it turns into a gang stalking episode. And what does a regular interaction look like? It's a regular person. You're talking to a regular person. Hey, how are you? How's business these days? Oh, everything's fine. And then they have somebody come into the store and maybe either signal to them or signal to somebody else in the store. And then it changes. And anybody who's been gang stalked knows the difference of when things change with people. So when they're a normal person and when they take off their head, they switch it, and now they're a gang stalker. They're in gang stalking mode, and they're not the same person that you were talking to 5 minutes ago. On top of that, they get very frantic. It's like, I don't know what this is about, but say, for example, you're in, and I'm just speaking from the experiences that I have, obviously. So say for example, you're in a particular place and you're having a very pleasant conversation with the person there and they can't do anything about it. They can only linger oh so long. So they could come and they slowly walk and they look around. Do you need any help? No, 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 I'm just browsing. And they slowly look around the place and they're trying to listen to what you say. Because for gang stalkers, all information is good information. Any information is good information. If you say you like the color blue, then the next place you go, somebody's going to say, I like the color blue, to try to get close to you, whatever the case is. So they're lurking, and it comes to a point where it's like, it's weird. Because let's say the store is too empty and they just start getting followed around like, hey, what about this? Or hey, what? So it's like somebody's going to push you into buying something, right? Or they'll just make stupid conversation, extend the conversation for like the longest and ask question after question after question till the salesperson thinks it's weird. Or they're going to come around and they're going to buy something that they don't need begrudgingly because the first time they came in there wasn't much to do and they left, and the second time they got to come back, but they got to make up a reason again, or they're going to deliberate, or they're going to this, or they're going to that, because they really want to know like, what is this conversation? And it's not so much I feel like they want to know what this conversation is. I think they're being directed. So I had an experience today and all of the above happened and they were frantic. They kept walking by the stores, looking in. It's like they wanted so badly to do something, but they couldn't do anything. And like I always tell you guys, once the spell work doesn't work anymore, it doesn't affect you in the way that it used to. You know, when you first get into gang stalking, or not first get into it, but when you're in the middle of it, you're frantic as they're frantic. You're like, oh my gosh, like these people, they're trying to do something and you're running off. But for me, it's like there was a certain point that I got to where I'm like, if I don't talk to people, I'm not going to know what's going on. And you have to understand that every exchange is a two-way exchange. It's not just one way. So when they talk to you, they learn things. And when you talk to them, you learn things. And you're supposed to. Every interaction is supposed to enrich you. So you don't really care about this person's real life. Like, you don't know them like that. But you can glean a lot about their strategy. You can glean a lot about what they're after, what their end goal is, what the new thing that they're trying to accomplish is. And for me personally, I don't know what the point is of them working there. I'm sure they're bored, like working all around. I'm pretty sure that they're bored, because I never show up there. But, you know, I also am of the opinion that God sends you in certain places so that you see certain things, so that you get it, you can move on, you can learn from it. So it could just be God sends you in for an additional reminder, like, hey, here's another reminder. Or God sends you in to prove a point to you, or to teach you something, or to say, this is what you have to watch out moving forward. So everything that I learned during being gang stalked has served me right now. I know so much because I allowed myself, I didn't just allow myself, but I went through it. I've already gone through the bulk of it. There are too many strategies as exposed, and whatever it is that they are going to do now, they're just pivoting. They're pivoting strategy towards the same end. The goal remains the same. So once you find out the goal, it's game over. Why are they gang stalking you? If they're gang stalking you just to knock you off of your life, of course, that's part of it for sure. But you see, it's a different purpose to gang stalk you to be a drug mule than it is to gang stalk you just because somebody does not like you and wants you to just lose your job, your house, your marriage, and everything else. So finding the strategy, or not the strategy, but finding out the goal, the end goal, it helps you. Because as strategies continue to change, as things continue to change, where it's like, well, first they used to follow me to this place, and then after going to this place, now they're not following me anymore, they're just waiting on the street corner. And now they're not doing any of that, they're just working at the places that I'm supposed to be going to. This is how people have to pivot their strategies, because their numbers are dwindling, or you're getting better at getting away from them, whatever it is. You know, the overarching message that I have here, the point of what I'm saying is, your old life is done, and you got to come to terms with that. If it takes you a couple days, a couple weeks, let this sink in. The old life that you used to have is done. So it's almost like, not almost, it's the same as being like a celebrity. Your picture has been in a group chat with like 20,000 people in your city, let's say. And you're going to go places where people know you and you don't know that they know you. And you can no longer just go into places and have casual conversations with people the way that you used to. If you were a person that used to do that, you can no longer, listen, this is the best way to think about it. You got to think about it as if you are a celebrity, like an A-lister. You just cannot tell anybody anything. You just can't allow people to come to your home. You just can't make friends with people. Like you cannot really do all the things that you used to do. And even with me, although I don't like that, that's one of the things that I think I'll miss the most, is just being free, you know, like being somewhere, and let's say you're at a supermarket and someone says, well, what do you think between these two? And you could just be like, I think that one, and strike up a conversation. Like, you can't do that anymore. You cannot do that anymore. And I don't necessarily feel like, I feel like it sucks. Well, this is why I think it sucks, because I used to always look at celebrities back in the day, and I used to always think to myself, like, I know fame sucks. Because I'm a very private person, I keep to myself, and I used to cherish that. I used to cherish like nobody knowing me, but it's like I have to come to terms with it. And a lot of the times it's like God sends me to particular places to go get particular messages. Today, I had a very serious focus. I was gonna do this, gonna do that, gonna do that, gonna do that. And I ended up getting delayed. And I kept thinking to myself, listen, you need to go, you need to go. And every single time it's like, no, go here. No, go here. No, go here. And every single time, hook, line, and sinker, I would see it as it was happening. There are people that belong to this gang stalking network who move jobs cross country. They'll be in this state, and then that state, and then that state, and then this country, and then that country, and then they just move around as they are needed. That's a fact. When there's a target who lives in one part of the city and they move to another part of the city, they don't just follow like your moving truck. They start looking for places where you live. They all move jobs. So if you've been in this thing long enough, you're not supposed to detect that because it's not supposed to take that long. But if you've been in this thing long enough, what's going to happen? You're going to see the same set of people that you left from these jobs over here now working over there. That means that huge corporations are a part of the gang stalking network. Every time you learn something more about gang stalking, you get more and more disgusted. It's crazy. It is crazy. So in my opinion, I believe every major corporation is involved in this. And I think it's because that is the only way for it to continue to be more and more efficient. I think that people just think this thing is too big. This was the feeling I had in the very beginning, where I thought this thing is too big to escape. Like, this is nuts. This is what everybody, normal human being, is going to think. But I also know that there are people who survive and thrive outside of it. There are people who thrive and survive outside of it. I think this year, the biggest blessing we ever had was Cat Williams, who had 50 million views counting on that one show. And he has a presence about him. And as soon as he spoke, I was like, I know exactly who you pray to. And he's doing quite well outside of it, not without its challenges. I think seeing Cat Williams kind of prepared me mentally for life moving forward. Like, there are going to be challenges. They tried to arrest that man all the time. He said it was something like 19 arrests, but no convictions. They try to get his kids taken away. They are going to throw everything at you. He says he does everything himself. He funds his own shows. He writes everything. It's like he plays all the roles. And that is how, when God blesses you and you need to be outside of the system, that is how you're going to have to exist. And it's crazy because, you know what? When I really think about it, it's fine for me to have to do the extra work to not be controlled. When I look at people behind their eyes, I see sadness. It doesn't matter what their actual face is. It's like, what is the word I'm looking for? Hopeless. They're hopeless. They're helpless and they're hopeless. That's what I see. And that is enough to motivate me to not be a part of, like when I tell you, this entire time with all the persecution, he does this whenever, it's like one of the forms of distraction that I go through. If I start working, he does this. If I get on camera, he does this. If I pray, the cats start fighting. If I meditate, they start like jumping all over. It's normal. They persecute my cats. But anyway, I have never, throughout this entire time that I've gone through this cycle, ever considered doing this. And even the people who want to feel empowered in this cycle are a slave to this cycle. I think if any one corporation decided that they wanted out, they would take that CEO out by the head. They would just be this, it'd be like off with his head, he's gone. Everything that I've seen about gang stalking has just been, I recognize everything that happens to me that happens to celebrities. So when celebrities start getting fat out of nowhere, when what else would I say? They're gang stalked under the guise of paparazzi. You call it paparazzi, but that's gang stalking. I remember when celebrities like Kanye West would like take videos on their video phone, on their camera, of what these people do. I kept thinking, how is this not illegal? They follow you so close, they're damn near ready to crash into you. One car speeding next to you like this, one car speeding next to you like that. Some are in front of you and some are right at the back driving so close. What are they trying to accomplish? There's children in the car. There's obviously no privacy. They're hacking everything. They're getting pictures of you on private islands. These people cannot even go to a beach. A beach on a private island they can't go to. If they took down Epstein, who had so much billions, and they put him in jail, believe me, this thing is deeper than deep. And it is what it is. You know, the most, you know, for me personally, there is just no possibility for me to be involved in this. I don't think that, you know, my situation is like on Epstein's level. I feel like there's gang stalkers and there's somebody to control at every level. So if you're a president, there's one level. If you're you know, someone like Epstein, there's another level. If you're a drug mule, there's another level. If you're a doctor, it's like appropriate to your network, because you can't have one set of gang stalkers for everybody. somebody who would be appropriate to gang stalk a drug mule is not going to be appropriate to gang stalk a doctor. A doctor goes to certain places, does certain things, has a particular lifestyle, and you need a particular budget to gang stalk a doctor because they have enough money to do certain things, to get certain kinds of security, to fly here and do this and do that. So you're not going to send certain people into these kind of establishments and they're going to fit in. They're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Even they're going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be obvious. So there are people for every level, you know, and it's almost like, and I can see it. I saw it. But I remember just thinking to myself, like, you know, the people who were gang stalking me, I don't know what they're doing now. So let me just, in my city, the people who paid for the work and the people putting the work together, they've separated. They're two separate factions now. They're not working the same. The chief gang stalker is not in control. He may be in divination. He may be, you know, spiritually trying to get to know what's going on. But he's out of the loop. He's not being included. They don't trust him. He keeps getting caught in lies. And these are lies to save his behind, but they know. So these are two separate groups trying to, and it's like they're separated. So you gotta think about it that way. It's kind of like, let's say Corporation ABC hired some gang stalkers and they see that these gang stalkers can't get this job done, then Corporation ABC is going to have to step in and do it themselves. And with Corporation ABC stepping in, they're not really gang stalkers like that. Like maybe they might be able to do certain things, but it's like they can't do everything. And I think to be a chief gang stalker, you have to have a particular set of skills. And one of them is the spiritual side. So you have to have the spiritualist side covered. You got to have the hacking side covered. You got to have the coordination. And the spiritual side, listen, as far as spirituality goes, let me explain something to you that a lot of people do not want to understand. Just put him in and close the door because I don't know what his issue is. As far as spirituality goes, let me explain something. You might have to just pull that out because he's just gonna. As far as spirituality goes, let me explain something to you that I feel like some spiritualists, they understand later on in life. And maybe I don't know if there's any spiritualists that leave this earth without understanding. I think at some point everybody understands this. Not everybody that comes here as a human being to this planet is the same spiritually. I'm not talking about gifts. I'm not talking about spiritual talents. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about spiritual connection and spiritual family. So there are some people who come here and they are owed from past lifetimes. Things that they did, sacrifices that they made, promises that were made to them, family members that left things over to them. The same way you physically leave things to your family, physically, spiritually, your family leaves you things as well. Gifts that you have here as a human being, you pass it down to your children get your gifts, your spiritual gifts. Okay, missions that you're on, they pass it down to you in the spirit, you get blessed. Sometimes, and I think a lot of times, it depends on what kind of heart you have. It depends on how receptive you're going to be, how effective you're going to be. It's like they're going to choose whoever is best for the role, if it makes sense. So as a spiritualist, when you're young and hot-blooded, you just attack everybody because you already attacked 20 people and nothing happened. So you're going to go to the 21st. But a lot of times spiritualists, they don't understand what's happening behind the scenes. They see the spirituality as a means to an end. They see it kind of like cooking a meal. I get the materials, I prepare it, I put it together, I put it on the stove, I eat. But they don't see the rest of spirituality. They don't see the seeds that had to be planted, the plants that had to grow, the plants had to be harvested, somebody needed to carry it. They don't see after I eat the meal, is it going to be give me high cholesterol? Am I going to be sick? Am I going to throw up? They don't see all the moving parts of that's happening behind the scenes. Sometimes you hurt someone in year 1. That person's ancestors are back here in year 20. So this is not, how do I unhide? This person comes back, I'm gonna hide that from my channel. Sometimes it's not just karma. Karma is like when the universe like brings this energy back. I'm talking about people's ancestors have been sitting in wait. I'm talking about this is long overdue. I'm talking about like groups of ancestors coming together, different people's ancestors coming together, because people don't know how it affects people's ancestors, the things that happens to us. Maybe we don't see how they're crying on the other side, how they're upset on the other side. We don't see. Time over there doesn't exist like it exists over here. What might seem like 20 years to you over here, you're thinking you got away with it, you're thinking somebody forgot about it. They're still pissed off over there. Why? My granddaughter can sing. She's supposed to be the star. What is going on? Where is her star? Somebody stole her star. So many others have the same story. What is going on? What we left? Where is it? That's what these people have done. They keep stealing stars. And over here, they just see it as, I took a star, let's call a star a bag of rice, and now I'm cooking it, now I'm making it, and now I'm passing the plates around and we can all eat. And the people eating this rice that they know doesn't belong to them, these gang stalkers, making money in a way that they know is not right, are consuming this, and they're consuming poison, slow poison. Nobody escapes their actions, whether this lifetime or the next or the one after that. You don't even want it to take multiple lifetimes. You want to get this out now if you got to pay for stuff, because it comes back. Spirit comes back. The body will forget. The mind will forget. The spirit does not forget. Spirits are not like people who don't keep promises. If somebody, let me tell you, how many times did somebody owe you and you forgot, and they came to you when you forgot and they say, here's the thing that I owe you? I'm like that. I know I need it for you. It even gives me happiness to give it to you, and for the fact that you forgot. Hey, by the way, here, this is the thing. And they're always shocked. Oh my God. Oh, wow. They'll give you a hug. Some of them will take some of the money back and be like, here, thank you. Because they're like, damn, I didn't expect that at all. Spirit is very strict like this. Spirit keeps her word. When you forget, when you don't know, when you need to be repaid, she keeps her word. You may have forgotten what happened last lifetime. She does not forget. As a matter of fact, she set everything up this lifetime to make sure that you receive what was promised. And if you try to refuse it, she'll tell you, hang in there. Hang in there. No, I know this is hard, but hang in there. When I was going through this, I was like, this is retribution for something. Something happened This is retribution. I've said this before and I believe it wholeheartedly with my heart. I've met this energy before. They did something very fatal to me. And there was a promise that there was a promise. And the spirit keeps her promise. This is why you keep your promise to her. It is a sacred relationship. It is built on unshakable loyalty. Relationships in the spirit are built on loyalty. That is the currency of those relationships. They are built on love and loyalty. Real love that we, a lot of times over here, do not understand. What does that look like? I stand in the fire for you. How long? However long it takes. What does that mean? I might not make it this lifetime because of you. I sacrifice for you. As a matter of fact, I might have to carry your debt. I might have to, you did it and I have to carry it. And it's painful and it's suffering, but I have to carry it. That's what we do for each other so that next lifetime we can all come back together. That's what we want. You want to be here by yourself? Of course not. We all want to come back. And we don't want to just come back any type of way. You want to come back abundant, happy, in peace. You want your enemies to not exist in your new beginning. You don't want them to follow you in that. It's a battle. This is something that human beings have a very tough time with understanding. And I always knew it, but gang stalking really drove it home. People have this thing where it's like, I don't think people know what real love is. They don't know what real loyalty is. They give up. They give up very easily. It's not because things are not difficult. It's not because things are hard. It's not because it's an uphill battle. It's because you gotta breathe it out and keep going. Breathe it out and keep going. One foot in front of the other foot. Even when you're tired, you're gonna drag your feet. Even when you're exhausted, it doesn't matter. You just keep going, because what you're fighting for is too precious, and too much is riding on your back, and too many people are depending on you. Even though it's energies that you cannot see, but you understand that whatever it is that you have, that particular skill set, that heart, that stamina, that energy, that love, whatever it is that you have is what is needed to get over this hurdle. Because when you have relationships like that in the spirit where you are expected to come and do this, it's because they have done the same for you and would do the same for you. So it's a unit. Let me explain to you. When I talk about the 10 of Cups, and I talk about the 10 of Cups being the ultimate happiness, because each cup represents something significant, that when it's upright, the cups are full. That's what you call that kind of a family. Because that loyalty is built on love. You don't need nothing. You don't need money. You don't need to always be right. You can fail. You can fall on your face. Whatever it is, as long as you tried your best, you listened, you did what you could, it's like, hey, understood. Those kind of bonds are unbreakable. If you need to come back another lifetime and do it over, then you come back another lifetime and you do it over again. And that's just how we see it. That's how I see it. That's why I'm not really, it's hard to worship the energy that I worship and be scared of death, because it's like saying I'm scared of her. I understand how this works. If you are truly spiritual and you truly believe in spirituality and you have respect for it, then you know that life doesn't stop here. So you respect the spirit realm. You respect it's never done. You're not getting away with anything, is what I'm saying. I don't care what it looks like right now. Nobody's getting away. Nobody gets away with anything. And in the spirit, it's always some type of a war. So you really need to choose the side that you're on. People in my city are starting to realize that spirituality is very serious. These energies they were playing with are very serious. It is not just about one person, two persons, or anything. It's not about that. When spirits come to collect, they come to collect. So everything stops. They freeze time on you. Forget all of that. Spirits are energies that I have respect for, good or bad, because they really have infinite knowledge. They have more knowledge than we can think about. So these are energies that it's impossible to beat them. And you just have to understand it's impossible. The day that you want to go outside is the day they catch you. Then you say, oh, I'm not going outside. That's the day they catch you inside. The day that it's impossible. And they know what spiritual code is, and they know what spiritual law is, and they're going to entrap you. And human beings are the easiest to fool. Money, sex, power. That's it. That's how easy human beings are. So what is valuable to spirit? People who can refuse money, sex, and power. People with integrity. People with strength, with spiritual strength. People who can endure, because they know that we feel pain differently here. They understand that it's different here. So when you're that type of a human being, that you have a very strong spirit, you can endure, you can stay in fire for as long as you need to, as long as they need you to. It's not because they're not going to rescue you out of it, but there's things that need to be untied and retied and secured. Things need to be done the correct way, not the quick way, not the pain way, the correct way, so that when it's built solid. It is not if, ands, or buts. You must sit in the fire and let them work. You must give spirit time. And must never give up on your spiritual family. If you're going through gang stalking and you're thinking this is just them following you around, there are a million things more going on behind the scenes that you have no idea. You're not just being gang stalked for no reason. You're hearing voice in your head and V2K and whatever. This is not V2K. I don't know. Listen, I don't know for everybody. I want to say personally, V2K to me is people ascending spiritually and getting spiritual gifts. That's what I think V2K is. I think V2K is where things that you were not able to do before you can do now. You're ascending, and that's when you get attacked the hardest, because they recognize that there are people out here who are, hold on one second. Anyway, what was I saying? There's a lot more going on than just you being followed around. They're taking a lot more from you than just you being gang stalked. If they cannot come directly and get you to join something and get you to be a part of it, in my case with the drug muling, if they cannot come directly and say, hey, this is what we want you to do, if they cannot do it that way, then they're gonna gang stalk you. And being a part of things like that, that's the first way that you give up your star, is that you start participating in things like that. You give up your good karma. You give up your spiritual protection. You give up your rights to things. You understand what I'm saying? So being in those situations, it's like you really have to start praying very seriously, knowing what you're praying to, who you're praying to, get in contact with your ancestors. I say this all the time. Ancestor worship is a big deal. And let me tell you, I know that things that I'm saying, whether or not people respond to it or not, I know from the things that I'm saying, somebody's getting help. somebody's making changes. At least one person is making a difference, because they're really trying to shut this channel down and lower the engagement. I get attacked the entire time I'm on here, etc., 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 etc. Believe me. So I know it's having some impact on at least one or two people. And I just want people to understand, when you start ascending, when you tap into spirituality, when you tap into, these gifts that you're going to be getting, or you have gotten that you just don't know about just yet, when all of this starts happening for you and to you, please approach the spirit world in the correct way. And please understand that your ancestors are not a game. Please understand that this is not just a lifelong journey, it's an eternal journey. It's just like when people say things like, when you light your altar or you light that first candle, it's for life. Well, once you awaken to your ancestors, it's also for an eternity. They take care of you. They keep you safe. They guide you. You guys work together on missions that enrich you and advance you in the spirit. And not just you. When I say you, I mean as a group, as a family, as a team. And oftentimes what I feel is that different ancestors come together, different families come together, they make agreements, they make deals, etc. And, they help each other, even though they don't continue their journey together. But I definitely feel like spirits and energies, they come in and they join and they help along the way for different people when there's somebody that is doing something that's very important. And I just know in the case of gang stalking that there are a lot of ancestors on the other side, and they're wary. They are so angry, so upset, so hurt about the things that they're seeing happening to their children, and they feel like there's nothing they can do about it. So pages like this, where people are constantly persecuting me and whatnot, I know in the spirit that, the way that these people are coming down with things, I can only speak about my city. That's what I know. These people are sick. These people are losing money, losing connections, losing their street credibility, losing their respect, losing their confidence in themselves. They're losing everything, essentially. They're losing everything because they all know that, and they knew it early on, very, very early on, that this is karma. What's happening is karma. The karma started very early. There are people who knew it was karma, and there are those who still want to continue down this destructive path. So I say all of this to say, if you're going through gang stalking, you got to walk all the way through. You don't stop here. Giving up right here. This is where you want to stop. This is where you want to put your bags down and take a break. With the bombs dropping all over you, I don't think so. I think you want to keep moving until you get to somewhere safe. You will have a break. I know it is frustrating. If nothing else, these people are irritating. You guys have no idea how irritated I am. Sometimes before I come on here, I gotta meditate. I gotta breathe it out. I gotta get it out of me, because I gotta come here and talk to people who don't deserve to see me in that condition. Like, you guys do not deserve my irritation at all. I don't even deserve to be that irritated. But no matter what they do, just keep it all into perspective. Somebody does something small to you now, there is the bigger picture. And always remember, the longer you stay in a situation, the more things you learn about the situation, the more you can keep pushing through. What do I mean by that? If you start doing something today, the only thing you could do is keep improving it and making it more and more efficient. If you start something now, the only thing you can do is learn more of it, how to get out of these issues, how to avoid this in future, how to make sure you don't even have to go down that road in general and you could still get the job done. That's the longer you stay in it. You got to keep staying in it. You got to keep with everything that you're doing, improve it, get better. That's the whole point. And as you go on this journey, you just have to remember the person that you're going to be when you get out of it is going to be a different person. So you can't go back to the past. You can't think that gang stalking is going to stop and you're going to go back to that place where you got gang stalked to begin with. You can't go back to just having a happy-go-lucky life and you're friends with all your neighbors and you're going to all the parties and all, like, that's how you got gang stalked. That's the matrix. That's where nobody knew what was going on. You're different now. And they know you. They know that you're different. You got to exist in a different way. So every day I get a new lesson. Is it fun? No. Sometimes it's painted in different ways, but it's like, how do I say it? Not that it's painted in different ways. Sometimes it kind of, it looks different, but it's like, it really dawns on you how you have to move around here. And it's unnatural sometimes to feel like that change. And God knows this, it's unnatural. God understands. And like I'm telling you, today was definitely one of those days where it's like, had it just been up to me, I would have just gotten all my stuff and gotten out of there. But it's like God made me linger and go here. And I'm like, no, I gotta go here and do this and do that. So it's like you see around you, you're very aware. So maybe I had to see all of this to tell people how it goes. But once you're being gang stalked, they're in your neighborhood, they're in your favorite stores, wherever you go for supplies, they work there, they're watching how much you're spending, what you're doing. They're at the bank branch that you go to, they're making friends there, they're patronizing people, kissing people's behinds. Like, I mean, this is the way these people work. This is how they operate. So trust the process, keep going. One day turns into a week turns into a month. Before you know it, it's been a year, 2 years. You're still going, you're still on your feet, you're still moving, and you're going to be fine. So keep all of that into consideration. So let's talk about what the message is that I had to talk about before I had to add that first part in. So, and another thing that I wanted to say before I got to that, please decline playing people's games. Treat yourself as an adult and decline the games, honestly. I just want to say, if people are sending you spell work, honestly, that's the easiest thing to clean off. That's the easiest thing to override. That's the easiest thing to get over. I'm telling you, whatever people build with spell work, you can knock down with spell work. Whatever people send to you with spell work, you can get rid of it. Like, please. And especially if you start your spiritual journey in the right way and you're connecting in the right way, please just don't worry about that stuff. Honestly, don't play into people's games, tit for tat and all that kind of stuff. Like waking up in the morning thinking you're going to get revenge on people, you're going to get people back, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, etc. Like, there's a way to do things. It has to be out of a specific purpose and a specific strategy, not just finding yourself lost in a cycle of playing with people. There are people in my city that would love to say, oh, but you did this and you did that. But you know what? I'm not trapped in the nonsense that they're doing. I'm moving on with my life. I'm taking care of myself. So don't find yourself playing silly games with people and giving people of your energy. Leave these things for them to do. Only immature people find themselves in that kind of nonsense. And it's like, if people never think that eventually things come back full circle, but they do. They absolutely do. So like I said, in my city, people are figuring out, like, eventually it comes back full circle. So I just want to put that in there. What I wanted to talk about here tonight was intuition and discernment. And I don't know why I didn't talk about this sooner. When it came to me, I was like, I'm 200 videos deep and I'm now thinking of talking about this. This is like critical. So let me explain to you how communication works. When people are communicating, two people are communicating, there is what's coming out of their mouth, and I don't know what they said that was, like 10% or 20% of communication is what's actually coming out of your mouth. The 80% is in the environment. It might be their facial expression. It might be comparing to the last thing that they said. It might be the mood that they're saying it in. It might be the fact that they're telling you one thing, but they do another thing. It might be the fact that they don't follow their own advice. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. The communication, 80% of it comes from your environment. It comes from the environment. So you imagine yourself as like some sort of like octopus with little tentacles all over your body. And you have to decipher what people are telling you. Yes, you're listening to what they're telling you, and it is some type of a factor, but it's not the end all be all. What people are saying to you is not like, it's in some ways it's insignificant what they're saying, to be honest with you. It really is about sifting it through your gut, sifting it through the core of yourself, of your intuition, and saying like, does this make sense? Now, sometimes some of it makes sense, sometimes other parts of it don't make sense. What happens is, if the some of it that makes sense is something that we like, we tend to disregard the some of it that doesn't make sense. That is the wrong way to go about it. The correct way to go about it is, the some of it that's there that makes sense is there to distract you from the most of it that doesn't make sense, or the parts that don't make sense. And the parts that don't make sense is where you focus your energy. You flag that information, and you might want to investigate it. I'm going to say every time you want to investigate it, why doesn't it make sense? And it bothers you for a reason. You don't put it aside. You don't try to ignore it. You take a hold of that information and you think to yourself, how comes this doesn't make sense? When you find out that the part that doesn't make sense is a lie, a mistruth, a manipulation, the correct way to handle that situation is to now mark that person as never to be trusted ever again. This is not a matter of your emotions. This is not a matter of who they are to you on the physical plane, if they're a parent, if they're a child, if they're whatever. If a person has sought to put you in danger in any way, it doesn't matter how nice they are, if they were forced to do it, if they were at gunpoint, the bottom line is that they cannot be trusted. And that is the only way that this needs to be seen. So that is number one. When you're communicating with people, you deserve 100% honesty. You deserve no lies. It is not too much to ask. It is what should be expected. It's what is expected. This is what's expected. No lies. No misleading information. None. Once that happens, this person has broken your trust. Now, let's say you're saying to yourself, well, this person was given information that wasn't correct. Here's the thing when you're being gang stalked, because we're talking about in the context of being gang stalked. So we're really talking about keeping safe. Do you really want people around you that don't have the same ability to sift through information the way you do? Or do you want liabilities? Do you want people that are going to get you X'd out? You have to think about yourself when you're being gang stalked like you're in some sort of video game. Okay? And like they're hunting, there's things, not one thing, there are things hunting you down. You want someone on your team that's making stupid mistakes. You want someone on your team, whether the mistake is stupid or not, you want people who are just as vigilant as you are. So this is why I listen to tarot and it's like, 50-50, who cares? I listen, it's in one ear, it's out the other. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, because I don't really think I need it. Because the tarot readers are reading this insane stuff and they're not taking it seriously, it's happy-go-lucky for them. They still think it's a joke. And when they get to the point where this crazy stuff reaches their doorstep, now they're griping, they're complaining. Oh, when certain people come to your life, what are you talking about? You've been reading crazy crap for 4 years. What kind of people you think are in your lives? What kind of people you think are following you? People that are having a great time? You have 17K followers. How many of those you think are people in deep hot water? You think you're just doing this for a joke? Don't take things seriously. Don't have not taking the spiritual hygiene seriously, not taking the spiritual connection seriously. This is not an easy thing. This is not a game. They will bind you up for lifetimes, not just one. You're dealing in the spirit realm now. They're not just going to tie you up now. They're going to tie you up for as long as they could keep you bound up. This is not a joke. You're divinating and you don't know. They don't know what they're talking to. They're still saying he, the universe is a he to them. They're still thinking that they're talking to Jesus. And a witch watching you is looking at you like a stake because you don't know what the hell is going on here. You still think this is a joke. You still think that you're in Kansas and you're not there anymore, Dorothy. Like, you're... Come on, please. Please. Whenever people call Jesus, I'm like, you could see so much, and you saw a Caucasian man with shoulder length hair come in his robes and talk to you. Are you serious right now? That's what you think is going on. You're reading tarot for Jesus. Discernment and intuition means sometimes using common sense, sitting back and thinking to yourself, does this even make sense on a logical basis? All of it has to come together. You are so spiritual that you're neglecting logic. You use so much spell work that you're not seeing things for what they are. Getting these people to stop using spell work for 5 minutes, even if the spell work is backfiring, is impossible because they depend on spell work so much and they depend on people's ignorance so much. So all of a sudden there's a person who doesn't succumb to spell work and clean up spell work. They don't know which way to go because all the work keeps boomeranging right back and blowing up in their life. They're still doing the spell work. Logic is needed here. Even logic and intelligence is needed also for spell work. All of it must come together, and it must come together for you too. Learning from mistakes becomes a critical skill when being gang stalked. If I went over there and this happened, I might not want to go back. If I did that and that happened, I might not want to do that again. I want to be careful. And don't let me be judgy because it happens to all of us. Sometimes we need it more than once. We need sometimes to, it's like kids. Kids need, they just need it repeated more than once. And God has, I believe God has leeway for us. More than once, you're going to get the same lesson. More than once, you're going to get caught up in the same way. And then there's going to be the time where it's like, you are learning all those things because of this time. Don't fail this time. And in my situation, it's like people kept getting that lesson to exit that cycle over and over again. Whether it was with the gang stalking, whether it was with the spell work, whether it was with, they saw it over and over again playing out where their logical mind should have said, you know what, I don't think this is a good idea. And they didn't listen. Over and over again, they just didn't listen. They just kept pushing through with the same nonsense. And you see me, I'm at a point with it where I need to learn my lessons ASAP. And there comes a point with certain things where I just determine my mind. I'm like, I am never letting this happen to me again. I am never letting this happen to me again. And that's what it has to boil down to. Like, you really have to get to a point with yourself where you're like, this thing was so hard fought that I cannot allow this to happen again. I think being gang stalked once and then ended up being gang stalked again is probably one of the worst things ever. And I think that does happen to a number of people, is they were gang stalked one time and now they're getting gang stalked again. So I think that we have to commit ourselves to like really learning everything that we can to close this cycle, because these cycles can stay open, and this is not the type of cycle that you want to remain open. This is not the type of cycle that you want to repeat. If you did manage to get it closed, you don't want to make these same mistakes again, because these people are everywhere. You're gonna learn basic rules of engagement with gang stalkers, and I think most of us know what these rules are. You learn these rules by encountering them, and believe it or not, yes, you learn these rules by getting burnt by them. I hate to say it, because nobody wants to get burnt. You think you just, I get a little bit of taste and then I get out, but sometimes you got to get really burnt by people, and then you're like, oh my goodness, I cannot face this ever again. You got to learn the basic rules of engagement. How do they come around? What do they do? What do they want? How do they get access to you? How do you close the access? What do you do? Like, you have to learn. You have to learn how to interact with them, because here's what you're going to do. You're going to have to learn when you're around people who is a gang stalker, who's dangerous, and there's different levels to the gang stalking. There are some people who they are directly gang stalkers, like the heartless ones that look at you a certain way, they're that. And then there are certain people who they've just been influenced by gang stalkers. So they're not directly in it, but they've been influenced in some way, not even paid. Some of them are paid, some of them are not paid. Some of them are just been influenced against you in some way, shape, or form. And you got to learn the differences between that. So you have to start strengthening up your intuition in the same way that you would strengthen up any other muscle, any other gift that you have. If you want to be faster, if you want to be in better health, if you want to cook better, if you want to, like myself, I always want to bake better. Whatever it is, you have to strengthen yourself. You have to trust that voice. It's a very low voice. It's the lowest voice you have, but I also feel like your intuition is the voice of God. And you really have to strengthen up your ability to make it louder, to listen to it, to trust it, even though there's no physical evidence that it doesn't make sense. You got to get to that point. You really do have to get to that point with it. God, I've said most of this. Don't ever depend on any one source for information. You don't have to. When you have to let go of one person, place, thing, method, object, the Spirit's always gonna be there to give you another alternative. God's always gonna be there to show you a new way, to bring a new person, to give you something new. Never think you have to stick with the same people, going the same places, doing things the same way. For me, it's like I might have a tarot reader that I like, and then I notice they're on nonsense. Hey, there's like 25 more. As a matter of fact, I don't even cling to any one reader. It's just, you got to find a new way. You got to find a new option. You got to find, something different, a new way of going around it. You do not have to stick to anything. And as a matter of fact, you should not. As soon as you get a routine, they learn it. As soon as you have a pattern, they learn it. You got to shuffle it. You got to mix it around. Wanting a routine is natural for people who work hard. Not having a routine feels weird as hell. Take it from me. But you got to do what you got to do, and you got to do it the way that you got to do it. And this is the way that God wants it done right now, and it's for your own safety. Everything is always for your own safety. Messages are all around us. Signs are all around us. It doesn't just come from explicitly from people like myself. It comes from your environment. Pay attention to synchronicities, pay attention to things that repeat, pay attention to everything. Nothing has to be black or white. Nothing has to be like somebody physically comes and tells you. And a lot of the stuff on the internet, please be careful. A lot of it is garbage. It sounds great. It sounds good. It sounds accurate. It's a bunch of BS. And there's a lot of, they take words from people like myself to make it, and they spit it out in this very convincing way. And then it's riddled with nonsense to deviate people. There's never any good information. That's why I don't listen to that stuff. There's never any information that tells you how to break out. It's just like spinning tires, going over the same nonsense over and over and over again. It doesn't help anyone. So please be careful of that. Messages are all around you. Your spirit team knows how to communicate with you, and they know how to communicate with you without anyone knowing. No matter, somebody could lay in divination 24 hours a day, and your spirit team will communicate with you. That's why you have to strengthen that voice. You have to strengthen the voice of your intuition, the little gut instinct. Maybe that's why it's so quiet. You got to strengthen the voice that says, I don't want to go over there. Maybe I should do that. Maybe. You got to strengthen that voice, because that is the voice of God, believe it or not. People want all these gifts, but everybody has an intuition. Everybody has a conscience. Everybody has guilt. Everybody has a heart. Those are the voices of God. We just don't want to listen to that. Listen to your first mind, which is your first instinct, and don't allow outside influences and information to override your internal investigations. Internally, your heart and your soul and your mind is saying this isn't right, something about this is off. Do not ever override that. Don't override it. Keep going with it. Try your best to practice the things that make sense. I myself always try to practice what I preach. And that's how I know what I'm telling you is not easy, because I live it. I go through it and I have to do it. Make sure that you're yourself. What do I mean by making sure that you are yourself? I mean this. Gang stalking is really designed to try to make you not like yourself. Whatever you are is uniquely you. That's who you are. And the sooner you embrace it, the better. I always imagine it this way, and this is how I was imagining it this morning. I want to tell this story. So I look at certain groups of people, and not just certain groups of people, but I feel like all groups of people are like this, where if you looked at the human race as a garden, it's like every plant in that garden is different. You're going to have potatoes, you're going to have carrots, you're going to have peas, you're going to have, mushrooms, whatever have you. Why would a mushroom want to be a carrot? It's two completely different things. They both have different benefits. They look different. They taste different. You want the variety. Why would we want a garden full of carrots? As a matter of fact, agriculturally, that's like unhealthy for the soil. You need the variety. So it's kind of like me saying, I want to look like someone else. I'm going to get surgery and I'm going to clip my petals to look like something else that exists. The reality is, if there are people who want that, then they can have that because it already exists. Quite possibly there's people that want what you are. Believe it or not, it's kind of like, and I know this to be true, and this is a different context, but if you think about it this way, there are men that just like fat women. Like TLC had a whole show about that. There are literally men that like watching women eat in bed and they want them to gain weight. It's an extreme example. But it's like everything that is a flaw about you, there's somebody there that likes that. So when you go through gang stalking, people are trying to beat the uniqueness out of you. They're trying to beat the beauty out of you, the things that make you you, your uniqueness. You gotta be yourself. You gotta walk around as yourself. You're not gonna step into playing games of proving yourself to other people that you're not this or you're not that, or it is what it is. People have lost their humanity. And if you have a period where you're not doing okay, then you're not doing okay. It's okay to say that. And if people want to make fun of it, then it is what it is. Half the times the people making fun of it are not doing okay either, and they're embarrassed of it, and it's difficult for them to work it out. So they're going to make fun of you. They're going to have an issue with you. You have to really be yourself. You have to love yourself. Self-love is important, because once people get you insecure, they can control you, and it's very important to understand that. Once you feel that you're the ugly duckling, you lower your self-value. Once you feel like my this is to this and my that is to that, and I'll tell you, I noticed in my city, whenever they tried to get the girls into the gang stalking thing, they put them in these groups of other girls, and then I would notice as it was starting to happen. First they'd get their boobs done, then they'd get their behind done, so maybe their stomach. Then it's like a goal. I'm saving for this. And all of a sudden, the person that you used to know, they're a totally different person. They're getting their lips done. They're doing this. They're doing that. And it's like they're constantly expending money on all of these things, and they build them and then they comparing themselves. And it's like, I can just see as it's happening. Once you're around a group of girls and they start putting you down, and it could be girls, men, whoever, and they start putting you down, as soon as they get you to the place where you go home for the first time and you actually think to yourself, well, am I? Well, is this? Well, should I buy this? Should I this? All of them have this. Should I go buy it too so that I can fit it? Once they get you there, they can control you. So all they have to do is to get you there. All of us have these watches and you want one. All of us have this car and you want one. All of us have our boobs done and you want it. Now we can get you on the plane, because all of us are going on the plane too. It's monkey see, monkey do. And if it's not for drug muling, if it's for something else, it's like they're going to get you into whatever they're going to get you to, just because they have you mind controlled now. It's group think. It's what the group wants. It's what the group's doing. It's making fun of you. It's influencing you. And this happens for both genders at every age. Men could be in their 60s, whatever it is. It's the same nonsense over and over and over again. It's always this BS. Like, it doesn't matter. You have to start thinking for yourself, and you have to start being yourself, and you have to start loving yourself. And then you have to put a high value on yourself. As high as God puts on you, that's as high as you put your value. And that needs to be bulletproof to the outside world and outside people coming with their opinion. Outside people telling you, well, you need this and you need that, and criticizing this and criticizing that. So what? You have to put the value on yourself. Enjoy what you have. This is a big one. I know right now people are thinking, well, I don't have this and I don't have that, and all I have is this, and I lost everything. And this is what happens when you're gang stalked. Yes, they knock everything out of your hands, but let me tell you, you gotta enjoy what you have while you have it. I say this all the time, things can always be worse. If this is your cozy home that you have, make it feel like a home. Make it feel comfortable. Love it. Like it. Put your essence, your energy into it. When you do things, you don't need to rush all the time. You don't need to power through it. You can take your time. You can perfect things. You can clean things up. You can work at a slower pace. You can, not necessarily a slower pace, but a more purposeful pace. I should say that. Because you don't want to make, every minute count, but you don't want to feel a sense of lack. Feel a sense of not having. Feel a sense of, oh my God, time is getting away from me. I'm going to lose. You need to be more purposeful in your walk. You need to be more enjoying the process a little bit more. And I know this is going to sound crazy to people, because you're going to be like, how the heck am I going to enjoy being gang stalked? It's not necessarily that you have to enjoy every moment or even difficult moments, but you definitely have to. I've been getting a lot of cards coming up about childlike energy, staying in an innocent place, staying in an innocent role. This is what you got to do. You have to take it to a place where you are rebuilding your life the same way you were rebuilding when there was no opposition. Even if you see all of it in your face, even if you're burdened by everything, you got to remain focused and you got to keep pushing through, but you got to bring an element of lightness to it. You got to bring an element of not just lightness, not just innocence, not just childlike energy, but like an energy of gratitude, an energy of being happy that you have what you have, being happy that you, where are my words? The energy that you're in is what you're going to attract, is what I'm really trying to say. So if you're grateful for your home, you're grateful for your life, you're grateful for the little that you have and the little that you're bringing in, that gratitude is going to translate into the way that you live. No matter how bad it is, I promise you, I'm here to tell you, no matter how bad it is, no matter how painful it is, no matter how jarring it is, it doesn't matter. Keep your home feeling like a home. That's why I say, like, you make up the bed, you sweep the floor, you do the dishes, you do the laundry, put things away. Keep it clean, be organized, take care of things, slow down a little bit, bring some peace into your space. Yes, you're going to be very spiritual, but you are going to be very earthbound as well. You're going to understand that you live on earth and you need logic on earth, but part of manifesting, part of building, and this is something you do with the universe, not with dark entities. This is the gift. You do this with the universe. The universe creates new life. So as you do that, you need to be in an energy that can match the universe. Light, free, childlike, happy, abundant. So please love yourself and imagine the vibration of what you're trying to create. So if you're trying to create wealth, if you're trying to create love, if you're trying to create happiness, what does that feel like? And flutter over there. And make sure that you carry the Holy Spirit with you, your ancestors with you, to bless yourself in that process. But as hard as it is, as much as these trials are around you, you must envision that energy. What does it feel like to have all of this? So in order for you to flutter over to that place, I'm going to say this. You might need to spend some time in meditation. You might need to spend some time thinking to yourself, imagining, and that's where the childlike energy comes in, imagining, a lot of imagination, etc., to get yourself to that space. This thing is not easy. It's not going to be easy to get through. It's not going to be easy to master yourself. Getting through gang stalking, getting through all of this is mastering yourself, and that is one of the hardest things you're going to do, is master yourself. You're going to slip and you're going to remind yourself and you're going to keep pulling yourself back in the same direction. You think it was hard to get up and work hard. Imagine what it is to tell yourself, don't be this way and don't go back to your old ways and don't go back to your old patterns. It's difficult. We keep falling, all of us, all the time. We keep making mistakes. God knows it. Sometimes God wants to remind us, get our hands smacked again. So be mindful. I'm wishing everybody out there luck. I'm wishing everybody out there strength in your journey. I'm wishing everybody out there passion towards what you're working towards, and all of us are working towards closing these cycles in our life. Connect with your ancestors, connect with your altars, take it very seriously, and be very, very careful. Thank you for everybody that hung in there. Good night. And I'm going to let you know once again that God loves you.